Hello everyone, today is 21st of May, now it's 5 to 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Leman Gudadze and this is my first update for the day, in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages. Of course, on YouTube and Patreon will be available first part of the update, and second half will be uploaded on my Patreon page. If you are not yet subscribed to my Patreon, please consider to subscribe and become a Patreon supporter or sponsor to this project. That will be a great support for my work, of course. Link is under this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And dear friends, before you will finish watching or listening to this first part on YouTube or Rumble, I will manage to upload second part on Patreon, so you can go straight to the Patreon page and continue receiving news from Russia with the Russian spies on it. So yes, that's been said, let's go through some news now. And as you can see, dear friends, plenty of news. And this idea to basically divide updates in two parts definitely is I like this idea, what I want to say, because I don't have to compromise now. I can share all the news that I find interesting, and I hope you will find interesting also. And well, let's go through some informations from the line of contact in the zone of special military operation. And I will start with Kharkiv direction. Of course, many of you know that last 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, Russian armed forces conducting this local scale offensive operations in the northern part of Kharkiv region to establish a buffer zone. And there is a two main direction of these local scale offensives. In the western side, western flank, Russian forces. For Russian forces, main target at this particular point is the Liptsy settlement, and on the eastern flank, main direction of the Russian offensives at this point is Volchansk city. When it comes to western part and the Liptsy, there was no reports on Russian segment of internet, or at least I did not see, about battles inside the Liptsy itself during the previous 12 or 24 hours, although several channels reported that Russian forces are conducting offensive operations towards the Zelensky settlements on the eastern side of Liptsy. And if information is correct, if we will receive some video photo confirmation of that, that can definitely be seen as an indicator that Russian forces creating ground to conduct offensive on Liptsy from two directions, from the northern side and the eastern side, maybe even from southern side, if Russian forces continue their offensive from Zelensky towards Veselaya settlement. But right now it seems like some sort of operational pause has been established in the Liptsy direction. And I remind you, dear friends, that Kiev regime deployed a significant number of reserve forces in direction of Liptsy. Same was done by Kiev regime in direction of Volchansk settlement, which is the main direction of Russian offensive in the eastern flank of this local scale offensive operations. Although, despite deployment of significant number of reserve forces by Kiev regime, tens of battalions basically on both these directions, Liptsy and Volchansk. In this particular settlement in Volchansk, Russian forces continue successful offensive operations, and several sources yesterday late evening even reported that northern part of the Volchansk was under full Russian control. Maybe this is correct. Maybe a significant part of northern Volchansk is under Russian control, but there are some gray areas where some small pockets of resistance of the Kiev regime forces may exist. But in any case, it seems like battle for northern part of Volchansk, which is divided in two by the Volcha River, is heading towards its end, and we will most likely in upcoming days see activization of Russian forces in the southern part of Volchansk city. It is inevitable, obviously, and many sources are reporting that Russian armed forces already established foothold on the southern part of this city, already crossed the river, and established foothold basically in Volchansk area. Also, by the way, Russian forces conducting operations towards what is the name? Volchansky Khutara, yes. That settlement, a few days ago, there was a report that Zibina settlement was under Russian control, and if that's the case, Defense Ministry did not yet confirm this information, but if Zibina is under Russian control, most likely we will see offensives towards Pokolyana, Volchansky Khutara direction, and in that case, I guess Russian forces will conduct some pincer movement towards eastern side of Volchansk, and they will attack from northern side and from their eastern side. And well, this is it when it comes to situation on Kharkiv direction. Initiative is in Russian hands, of course, although last several days, of course, this offensive operation advances of the Russian forces slowed down a little bit, quite understandably so, and I even spoke about this in previous updates, that it was necessary even to slow down advances, because of course support forces need some time to establish new additional lines of the logistics and support and supply and support for advancing forces. And I guess once these new lines finally will be established and the Russian forward units will receive additional reinforcements, munition, weapon systems, whatever they need, we will see next wave of Russian offensive in this direction. And also, by the way, we should not rule out possibility that Russian forces will start this similar type of local scale offensive operations on the border with the Sumy region of the Kharkiv, or Sumy region of the Ukraine. It is also highly likely. Let's go through some other settlements now, and of course big news is that Russian armed forces established control over the Belogorovka settlement in Siversk direction. Yesterday I uploaded second video. Many of you see that video, I guess, and I reported in that video that Belogorovka became under full Russian control. The Russian Defense Ministry confirmed this information. This is Siversk direction, of course, and from now on we should expect significant increase of Russian activity in this direction. And well, I said straight away, once Russian forces establish control over the Avdiivka, that most likely sectoral scale offensive operations will be conducted by Russian forces in Siversk direction to strengthen the line here, because if you take a look on the map, this Siversk area is kind of bridgehead inside the Russian controlled territory. And of course it does make sense to strengthen the line, establish control over this massive bridgehead that the Kyiv regime forces have in this area, and of course it will create additional foundation for future offensive operations towards a laster, more or less capable defense line of the Kyiv regime in DPR, which is Slavyansk-Kramatorsk line. So yes, Belogorovka is under Russian control. That's a big news, of course. Also, by the way, when it comes to Chasiv Yar direction, more reports are coming in that Russian forces continue their local scale offensive operations inside the Canal district itself, and several blocks of this district are under Russian control already. And I guess before end of this week, most likely Canal district will become under full Russian control. And also, by the way, when it comes to this sector of the front line, northern flank of Donetsk sector of the front line, this morning several sources reported, basically confirmed information that I shared with you yesterday, that Klishchevka is under full Russian control settlement on the southern flank of Bakhmut. And also, as I predicted, we are already receiving information that Russian forces are activated their local scale offensive operations in Andreevka in Avdiivka direction, and most likely, maybe even before end of this week, Russian forces will establish control over the Avdiivka also, and the Kiev regime forces will have no much option but to retreat and try to establish new defense lines on the western side of this channel, this irrigation channel. So that begins somewhere. I don't know where exactly this channel begins, but it definitely goes near Kurdyumovka, and this is exactly the channel that divides this canal district of the Chasiv Yar from rest of the city. So okay, that's also a big deal, because we all remember how long these battles for Klishchevka was taking place. Same can be said about Belogorovka, of course. Months and months and months of clashes for these settlements. When it comes to Avdiivka, direction, additional reports are coming in that Russian forces establish full control over the Nitailovo settlement, and also over the settlement of just a sec. I cannot remember names of the all settlements, by the way. Umanskaya, yes. So Russian forces finally established full control over the Umanskaya and Nitailovo. At least that's what is reported by a number of big channels in Russian segment of internet. But overall, in Avdiivka direction, we are observing some sort of operational pause, quite understandably so. And yesterday, if you remember, I said that most likely Russian side will take some operational pause in Avdiivka direction and will focus on areas in between Avdiivka sector and the Chasiv Yar, Bakhmut Chasiv Yar area, because if we take a look at the map, if we zoom out, you can clearly see that it's some sort of bridgehead is formed here also, due to Russian advances in Chasiv Yar and Avdiivka sectors, Avdiivka directions. And therefore, it was logical to me that Russian forces will probably try to strengthen this line here, and therefore we will see offensive operations towards New York settlement and other towns and villages in this kind of bridgehead. And yesterday evening, military summary, or maybe even yesterday in the first update, anyways, military summary also shared his similar opinion. Dima from the military summary shared similar opinion. He also said that most likely we will see activization of the Russian offensives, these local scale offensive operations towards New York and surrounding areas, which is well, most likely that's exactly what is going to happen. It was nice. I'm no military expert, by the way, so when I hear on military summary what Dima was saying about this direction, you know, I was pleased. I'm not gonna lie. Probably time to time I'm managing to read this battle map on okay level. I don't have any ambitions, by the way, to say that, you know what, I understand what the hell is going on. No, I'm trying to analyze, I'm sharing my understanding of the situation, and that's it, really. I don't pretend to be some sort of expert, man, in military affairs. Of course not. Anyways, by the way, let's continue. And, well, not really much reports about Krasnogorovka direction. Settlement still divided, contested between the sides, and Russian forces are controlling all the major areas in the city, including high-rise buildings, and the Kiev regime forces are digging and maintaining their pockets of resistance in northern western part of the Klishchevka, this area of the private housing. Also, what else, by the way? In South Donetsk direction, main hotspot is, of course, Urozhainaya Staromayorskaya directions. And as I said quite a number of times before, I expect Russian forces to establish control over these settlements, maybe even before end of this week. And when it comes to Kherson direction, yesterday several big channels on Telegram, big Russian channels on Telegram, military channels by the way, reported that Krinky Russian armed forces once again conducted clearing operation in the Krinky area on the left bank of the Dnieper River, of course, and they established full control over their entire territory that previously was held by some small groups of Kiev regime forces. This is the second or third time that Russian forces are conducting this clearing operation. I wouldn't be surprised at all if after a week or 2 or 3, Kiev regime will yet again send in suicidal operations its militaries from the western bank of the Dnieper River. So yes, this is it for a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. The initiative is in Russian hands, of course, all along the front line, and situation for Kiev regime forces becoming more and more difficult as time goes by. And of course, dear friends, if you are interested in more detailed information about developments on the line of contact, I recommend their military channels for that. They are providing great volume of information on daily basis, several times a day, actually. And if you by chance are not familiar with the independent media, alternative media, including including military channels, under this video in description box I have a recommendation list of the great channels, by the way, with links and everything, and you can find there at least several military channels, including Military Summary. I mean, one of the greatest and biggest channels that there is right now on internet, on YouTube, at least. So yes, that's been said. Let's continue now with some other news. Although let me check how long is this update. 17 minutes, man. Wow. So I will go through headlines at least. So RT is reporting that Zelensky's presidential term expires, of course. And today, by the way, on 21st, Zelensky's presidential terms expires yesterday, and today he is no longer can be seen as a legit president of the Ukraine, and Kiev regime forces, officers of the Kiev regime forces have every right to disobey orders from this bloody clown that Zelensky is. Let's see if things gonna change in Kiev, definitely, because I mean everyone understands that Zelensky no longer has any legitimacy at all. TASS news agency is reporting that former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, commented on Zelensky, his legitimacy and stuff, and said that, well, no matter who will find him legit or not, but Zelensky, as a head of hostile regime to Russia, is a legit military target for Russian armed forces. So maybe this is a final warning for Zelensky. I don't know. I'm still quite skeptical that Russian side will take action against Zelensky. I don't think so, but we clearly are hearing more and more warnings. So who knows? Maybe Russian side promised earlier, if you remember, former Prime Minister of Israel said that in private conversation, Vladimir Putin, President of Russian Federation, promised him that Russian side will not take action against Zelensky directly. And who knows, maybe Russian president meant as long as Zelensky is legit president. And today, and from now on, Zelensky is not. So therefore, these warnings, including from Medvedev, definitely worth taking seriously, especially for Zelensky. And maybe he will try to save his life and run from Kiev before, before he still has such a chance, I don't know. Anyways, let's continue. And RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, I already mentioned this, that units of the South group of forces of the Russian armed forces, Russian army, liberated the settlement of Belogorovka in Lugansk People's Republic. This is Siversk direction, and it's a big deal, by the way. It's a big deal. At this point, I think it's inevitable that Russian side will further increase activity on Siversk direction. RT is reporting that, Russian envoy to UN, Nebezhny, said that peaceful settlement is still possible in Ukraine. Let's go through this news. The conflict between Moscow and Kiev could still be resolved peacefully and diplomatically. Russian ambassador to UN, United Nations, Vasily Nebezhny, told UN Secretary Council meeting on Monday, stated basically during this meeting. However, the West must stop its malicious meddling and listen to Russia's concerns, he stated, and of course, Western ruling class not gonna listen, unfortunately. So Moscow once again stating that, well, door is open, we are ready for serious negotiations, and this is not the first time, and I believe not the last time, when high-ranking Russian officials are making such statements, but Western ruling class did not listen to Russian suggestions and initiatives before, and I don't think they will listen now, or at least sometime in the future. But once the Russian side will finalize its victory in this proxy war that is waged against Russia by Western ruling class, then they will start listening, I guess. Anyways, let's continue. And next is TASS news agency's report about another statement from Nebezhny, who said that, well, collective West don't really have any weapons that can change their final outcome of this conflict or turn the tide. And I have to agree with Nebezhny absolutely. There is no weapons in inventory of the Western states, militaries of the NATO countries that really can turn the tide. Nothing like that. One may say, well, West has nukes, at least several countries, France, United Kingdom, US. Yes, they have nukes, but I don't think nukes are options. I mean, because if we are talking about nukes, then that means that we are talking about extinction of the humanity. So I don't think Western ruling class is quite ready to say goodbye to the lavish lifestyle. Zviad newspaper is reporting that Switzerland, by the way, released information, Swiss leadership, about number of countries that already promised to participate in this so-called peace conference on Ukraine that will take place in Switzerland in about 2 weeks time. Well, some 60 countries already promised to participate, according to foreign minister of press secretary of the foreign ministry of the Switzerland, Pierre-Alain Elchinger. And of course, among these 60 countries, majority is EU member states and client states, basically. Client states, collective West and the client states. Although, by the way, some major geopolitical players also possibly will send its delegations. We know that South African president will not participate in person. Brazilian president will not participate in person. Chinese leader is not going to participate in person. India is planning to send its delegation. That was reported yesterday, but I don't think president of India will participate in this conference. I guess some delegation will be sent, which is okay, by the way. When I saw this information, when this information broke yesterday that India is planning to participate in Russian segment of internet, you might find some you may see some comments when people were upset that why India will do that. And nothing to be upset of. I mean, it's a politics, and India will send its delegations. It's a politics. It's a diplomacy. India will share its take on the situation, how should things develop. So I mean, I don't see a reason why should we be upset about it. Absolutely not. If anything, I'm quite sure Indian delegation will share some initiatives that will make sense. Absolutely, because on this conference, as you all know, Swiss main topic of discussion is so-called peace formula of the Zelensky, and I mean, this is Moscow already said that this is a waste of time to discuss this so-called peace formula of the Zelensky. Many other countries have a very similar approach, and therefore it is even good that friendly nations to Russia will also participate and will at least try to bring to their senses Western representatives of the Western elites by sharing with them some ideas, some initiatives, how should things develop. So yes, that's information about that so-called peace conference that will take place in Switzerland. RT is reporting that while China warns US over Ukraine, Washington is deliberately prolonging the Ukraine conflict and seeking to profit from it, while smearing Beijing with the false accusations. The Chinese deputy envoy to the UN told the Security Council on Monday. During the meeting on the Ukraine conflict, Ambassador Geng Shuang addressed US claims that China was supplying Russia with weapons components, calling them groundless and totally unacceptable. China is not the creator or a party to the Ukraine crisis, said Geng. Nor have we provided lethal weapons to any party in the conflict. We have not done what the US has done, which is to deliberately prolong the fighting and profit from this crisis. We will not do that. So basically, Chinese envoy, Chinese diplomat turned the table on the US delegation in UN and quite directly smashed them in their faces with the truth, that it is US that is benefiting from this conflict in many ways, including financially. It's I mean, US military industrial complex and corrupt officials, of course, not the US public. I mean, who is asking citizens of US anything about actions of the Washington? I mean, it's good to see, by the way, that there is countries in this world that not afraid of these bullies, by the way, representatives of political elites of the Western states, including US. Unfortunately, majority of the countries still are cautious with them, and they should be, because I mean, Washington is very dangerous. By the way, we all know what Western ruling class, including US ruling class, is capable of, what level of atrocities. So therefore, it is understandable that majority of countries are taking cautious approach. But it is good to see that there are major countries in this world that don't give a damn about Western ruling class at all. That's a good stuff, man. TASS news agencies report that Prime Minister of Estonia, that's quite refreshing, let's say. TASS news agencies report that Prime Minister of Estonia, Kaja Kallas, very exotic, exotic, maybe not the right word, but very colored figure in the EU politics. So Kaja Kallas actually confirmed that some NATO member states already deployed their troops into Ukraine and are conducting training of the Georgian forces and are helping them with logistics. She did not specify which countries she's talking about, but well, quite interesting revelations. I mean, we all know that there are French troops in Ukraine, US troops, Polish troops, Czech troops, by the way, troops from Czech Republic, troops from United Kingdom, some other countries also. We all know this. But it is good to see official confirmation of this information, basically. And when it comes to NATO troops into Ukraine, Lithuania, by the way, head of foreign ministry of Lithuania made a statement that, Gabrielius Landsbergis made a statement that Lithuania is ready to send its military personnel into Ukraine. So yes, this is gonna be game changer, because if this superpower of this galactic Lithuania is considering deploying its troops into Ukraine, that must be something, by the way. Something big is about to happen. Lithuanian troops are going to Ukraine. Well, all 25 of them, man. All of them. Okay, just do it, Lithuania. RT is reporting that Israel was not involved in Iranian president's fatal helicopter crash, according to sources of the Reuters. Let's go through this news. The Israeli government had nothing to do with the death of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, Reuters has reported, citing an unnamed official. The head of the state had traveled to the border region after joining Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev on Saturday to inaugurate a dam. Raisi had pledged to visit each of the 30 provinces in the country at least once a year, and so was regularly traveling around the country. And yesterday there was information that from Israeli media that Israeli leadership, through some means of close communication, already informed a number of countries worldwide that Israel has nothing to do with this helicopter crash. And now this information from Reuters on the same topic, that some anonymous sources told Reuters that Israel was not involved. Also, by the way, Politico is reporting, US media outlet, also that Washington is concerned that Tehran may blame US in the death of the Ibrahim Raisi, president of Iran, and also Israel. And in that case situation in the Middle East may quickly escalate into enormous scale, which is a possibility, obviously. But at this point, I did not see any indicators that Iran is in hurry to blame anybody. Investigation is underway, and statements that we are receiving from Iran about and from Iranian officials about possible reasons of this crash. Those statements definitely not indicate that Tehran is seeking escalation with anybody at this point. For example, and also interesting news, by the way, RBK is reporting that religious leader, one of the Iranian religious leaders that was traveling with the president in very same helicopter, survived after crash for about an hour. He was alive. He was fighting for his life, and he managed to call into administration of the president. So probably there is some Iran's leadership already has at least some account from someone who was on the board of that helicopter what has happened. And if I believe, of course, this call most likely was recorded, and if there was any indicators of foreign involvement, most likely we will hear very strong statements from Tehran already. But this is not the case. What we are hearing from Iranian media or Iranian officials is that, for example, according to TASS news agency's information here, ambassador of the Iran in Belarus stated, Alireza Sanei stated that tragedy was caused by one of the main reasons that this tragedy took place was extremely bad weather. And of course, ambassador of Iran would not make such a statement without consultation with the foreign ministry of Iran and the high-ranking officials. So that's this statement of Iranian ambassador clearly demonstrates the attitude of Iranian leadership. They are not seeking escalation with anybody. They want to know the truth. And also, by the way, Iranian news agency IRNA reported that reason, according to preliminary data, reason for helicopter crash was some technical malfunctioning. It was a combination, by the way, bad weather and technical malfunctioning. Some sources are reporting that some navigation equipment was not working properly, most likely, maybe to indicate altitude of the helicopter, I don't know, but in a very strong fog this area was covered where crash take place. If electronics were not working, if pilot had no idea, he could not see visually, and if he had no equipment on display in his hands to to realize where is the ground, where to navigate, basically, of course that will cause crash. Although, by the way, of course, these conspiracy theories are continuous circulate, and there are many people are pointing out that there was not just one helicopter of the Iran's president. There was several other helicopters also, at least 2, or some saying even 3, that were flying together with Iran's president's helicopter, most likely to protect it. And those helicopters didn't experience nothing. They fly quite well and landed safely. So, I mean, questions are raised. I can understand that questions are asked. How come that Iran's president's helicopter was not functioning properly? But, well, that's why investigation is conducted, and we should wait and see what conclusions investigation will come up with. Anyways, let's continue. How long is this update, by the way? It's already 37 minutes, so I have to end then, by the way. And by the way, on topic of Iran, presidential elections, of course, had to take place now in Iran due to a tragic death of the Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi, and according to Vzglyad newspaper, decision in Iran already was made that these presidential elections will take place on 28th of June. So, yes, I mean, so many news, by the way. I will continue still. I mean, update will be quite long, but there is so many news, by the way. I will share with you at least several news, and rest of it in the second part on my Patreon. RT is reporting, and many of you, of course, are already informed that ICC chief prosecutor seeks arrest warrant for Netanyahu and Hamas leaders. And I spoke about this topic in yesterday's second update of mine in headlines episode. And well, according to RIA Novosti and many other media outlets, well, US politicians, Israeli politicians and US politicians went full crazy mode on this information. State Department basically stated that ICC cannot prosecute Israeli leaderships. It's not their competency. They can act against Russia, but they cannot act against Israel, because that's how Washington wants, basically. So that's it, man. No matter how much they're gonna try to explain themselves, I mean, they are trapped. They are trapped in their own lies, by the way. they were very quick, Washington officials were very quick to salute ICC, to congratulate ICC, to applaud its criminal decision, basically, to issue arrest warrant on Russian president and Russian ombudsman for children. And this arrest warrant was issued, by the way, you know why, isn't it? Because Russian forces evacuated kids from the line of contact. From orphanages, by the way. Kids that were that had nowhere to go. They needed help, and Russian forces evacuated and saved their lives. And for this, ICC issued arrest warrant against the president of Russia and ombudsman, children's ombudsman. And US applaud that, US leadership. And now, after what happened in Gaza Strip, what Netanyahu and his government did, Washington is saying that, well, ICC cannot operate that way in regards to Israel because they just cannot. That's how Washington wants, and that's it. So that's all argument that Washington really has, because no matter what how they're gonna justify their positions, it's all nonsensical, total BS, by the way. RT is reporting that there is no well, Biden of course also commented on this topic, and said that there is no genocide in Gaza. US President Joe Biden has rejected any notion that Israel's ongoing military operation in Gaza could be described as a genocide, and reiterated Washington's support for West Jerusalem's push to eliminate Hamas, as he hosted the Jewish American Heritage Month event in the White House. And of course, White House is also critical of ICC for current development, that they are seeking, this prosecutor is seeking, so-called prosecutor is seeking some arrest warrant. It's not happening, by the way, obviously. And not just that, but US Congress is threatening ICC with the sanctions. So they are giving clear warning that, you know what, just stay away from this topic or else. And that's what they're gonna do, most likely. Because ICC, it's a tool in the hands of Western ruling class, by the way. I am little surprised even that this so-called prosecutor even touched on this subject. I guess he is no longer gonna stay. Just mark my word, by the way. Western ruling class not gonna remove him straight away right now, but after 3-5 months he will probably disappear from ICC. RT is reporting that Julian Assange wins the right to appeal in US extradition case. A London High Court has granted jailed WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange the right to a fresh appeal against the previous ruling that had ordered his extradition to the US. So Assange not gonna be sent to the US for now, but unfortunately he is still in jail. He is still in jail, and of course it's a huge, immense pressure on him in all possible ways, psychologically, physically, and so on. And this is a pure example of how injustice and politicized the judiciary system in the collective West is, because this person unlawfully has been prosecuted for so many years now. For so many years, by the way, unlawfully suppressed, and his rights was taken. And this is repressions. If this is not a repression, then I don't know what this is. For no crimes, by the way. He did not commit any crimes, Assange. He did nothing wrong. He served public and public's interest. And that's what journalists should do. All over the world, everywhere. RT is reporting that US nationals involved in an attempted coup in an African state. The 3 US citizens are among 50 people who have been arrested for allegedly attempting to overthrow the government in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, on Sunday. Reuters has reported, citing a spokesman for the Central African country's army. And this is true, by the way. On my Telegram channel yesterday, I believe I shared video and photo of the passport of the US citizen, and the video where US citizen is basically not in the best conditions. He's captured and playing for I don't know, man. He was probably asking not to be killed or something like that. So probably some private military company from US was getting involved, maybe even CIA, who knows, but who knows. CIA does these dodgy operations all around the world constantly. So TASS News Agency is reporting, and I will end this first part of the update on this news, by the way, that Georgian parliament is planning to listen to explanations from the president of Georgia, Salome Zurabishvili, who vetoed recently adopted law about foreign agents by Georgian parliament. And after that, according to Shalva Papuashvili, head of Georgian parliament, ruling party and majority in the parliament will vote again on this bill, and they have enough numbers in the parliament to basically override this veto. Of course, if president vetoes some law, then you need significantly more votes to преодолеть. How you say преодолеть, by the way? To overcome, yes, to overcome presidential veto. And according to Shalva Papuashvili, Speaker of the Parliament of Georgia, ruling party has enough numbers in the parliament for that. But story is definitely not over, because as I said many times before, if Washington is determined to destabilize Georgia and conduct regime change now, this spring and in upcoming summer, I'm afraid they will continue attempts to destabilize country, and they have such a strong grip on Georgia that there is a risk that they might even succeed. So Georgian government, Georgian security services have to be very, very cautious and careful, and do whatever it takes, of course, to protect citizens of Georgia, society of Georgia, from this destructive force that Western ruling class is, and the ruling class of the US. And this is it for now. Quite a long update, dear friends, but as you could see, plenty of news, really. And by dividing these updates now, I just, I don't have to compromise. I shared with you quite a number of news in the first part, and I have another 10-15 news for the second part that will be uploaded on a Patreon. So yes, I mean, hopefully this new approach to the main update will work, and it will, and our community will find it more interesting, because there is opportunity to hear more news from Russia and with Russian perspective. Anyways, dear friends, this is it for this first part of the update. Hopefully you will find it interesting, informative, useful, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. Last several days, YouTube's algorithm is crashing our channel, crashing this channel of mine, crashing videos, barely any video in last 3-4 days. According to YouTube statistics, received more than 5,000 views. In reality, maybe there is more views, but that's what YouTube's algorithm shows. So yes, only way to deal with this is definitely more likes and comments, and if you can, please share the word about my channel with your friends, verbally or on any platform that you are actively using. I'm quite sure there are thousands and tens of thousands of people that want to hear news from Russia, from citizen of Russia, Russian journalist, blogger, from Russian perspective in general. But unfortunately, there are not that many channels from Russia on YouTube that are doing content that like I do. So, well, that's been said. If you like this channel, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. All the links under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care. And I will now continue recording second part of the update. Bye for now.